Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And with the start of the new meta means it's another team building video and guide for people who are attempting to build the new 3.5 anniversary team, the Spirit Master meta with Leon, Masked Hero, and Belzard, and the free-to-play Aretas. So today we're going to be using the Team Builder app to go through and showcase some other characters you can use to fill in these slots right here. This is an assumption that you have the three main characters, so you have the bulk of the team already set. We are going to receive 2 more new characters in the next couple weeks or so, probably around the 6th and the 13th, give or take a couple of days. So by the end of the month, we will have a full team build. But whether or not you can make that team is a different story. But in order to get you to those, you kind of need some more options for these slots right here. So let's start the guide. Alright, so first off, Charms. The Masked Hero is a blue stacking protector, as exemplified by the fact that she is giving blue orbs a 100 to 500% skill point increase. So this is a blue orb team. She is a stacking protector. She stacks both physical and magic attack. And she has that heal and the alt rush ability. So when we're talking about charms, there's only really a few that come to mind as being truly useful for the Masked Hero. The first one is going to be the 2-star charm that is this one right here. So the increases Soul of Divine Protection's protection gauge increase by 20%. Because you are stacking and you are also sending, hopefully, blue orbs every single turn, the more stacks you get with the hero, the better. And so getting an extra 20% to the hero gauge is going to make your life easier, and you're going to do more damage. So this is going to be a pretty basic fallback charm for most, if not everybody, who is not a sweaty tryhard. This is probably what I recommend most people run. Another charm you could run is the... not this one. It is... where is it? Secret skill point. Here we go. Blue orb skill point increase by 40%. You're going to be using probably that stun strike ability, that frostbite stun from Belzard quite a bit, and you might end up running into not having quite enough points to do what you want. So making sure you get an extra 40% skill points on top of the 500% you're going to get when you max out the hero could also be pretty impactful depending on where you're trying to get to in the team. So either protection gauge on blues, skill points on blues, or if you really want to try and sweat, because Leon is the nuker, you could use an earth attack charm. So far, no one is doing that on the team. I mean, we might have one of the new characters giving element attack, but for now, like, that would be like the third option. I can't really think of anything else. You don't need ult gauge because the hero's giving you 50% every single turn. The healing, you're healing already, so that's not necessary. And we don't have charms yet for the Aegis effect, so nothing else really would make too much sense. So blue orb protection, blue orb skill points, or earth attack are my picks. Alright, next section is Orb Changers. Really not that big of an issue. Aretas is changing 2 Spirit Master orbs to blues. It doesn't matter what color they are, she changes 2 of them, so she'll change hers, Belzard's, Leon's, or the 2 incoming characters. And then Leon himself changes 3 blues with no restriction. Like, if they're not blue, he'll turn them to blue. So between Aretas and Leon, like, you really don't need anything else. You could bring Visions of Coleus Violet. She is also a triple orb changer, but she's doing 2 oranges and a green specifically. But she does have the added effect of giving a magic attack, which technically you're already getting from the hero, but you could always get more. So if you want to bring a 3rd orb changer, she would work. Or like one of the other free-to-play characters like Rieger or Gobta, one of those, like, you could definitely use them. Romarus, if you have Darkness. I wouldn't use Shion. This team is not crit focused. But there are a lot of free-to-play orb changers you can use. As far as like the 5-star and higher ones, a a lot of the buff that you're getting, like Water Shuna, wouldn't be that useful because Leon's already doing her buff. More blue Orb Changers. Yeah, I would pretty much just stick to these two. If you need another one, bring Violet or one of the free-to-play options, but you should be able to get by with Ritas and Leon. Alright, ult swapping. It's changing your Soul of Combos to a blue orb. Ritas is already doing that again for Earth allies, which Leon is Earth. So you'll be able to swap his ult into a blue and be able to hold that ult until the nuke turn on turn 8. Belzard is a support ult, so you kind of want to send her orbs and her ults just to get that extra stacking weakness strike. If you wanted to bring someone else, you could bring Blanc, because she's got a triple ult swap, and then she'll swap everybody. And she's got the extra weakness strike buff, which can help. Other ult swappers you could bring would be like Summer Shizu, who'd be doing what Blanc is, but worse, because she's only changing one ult, and her weakness strike buff is lower. You could bring Exalted Champion Rimuru. He would change any ult orb to a rainbow orb, which could help you with skill points and gauge and ult gauge and all that. But you can only use it once, so it's very limited on a stacking team where you're going to be there for 8 turns and you're going to be swapping ults for like 6 of those turns, since you're getting so much ult gauge from the hero. Shuna, Ogre's Pride, would be doing pretty much the same thing that Blanc is doing, triple ult swap and weakness strike for everybody, so these two are interchangeable. They're both magic. So, but honestly, like, you should be okay with just Ritas, because everyone else you should just be sending ults and just stockpiling Leon and whatever the next Earth unit is going to be. Okay, in terms of damage support characters, Leon is doing the ult and the EX ult damage, the hero is doing magic attack, and Velzard's doing the new Aegis ability. In regards to the current beatdown battle, you shouldn't pierce and you shouldn't synergy unless you can remove those resistances or overcome them with raw power. So let's build towards what the stage isn't nerfing, which is pierce. So you could use the 3rd Anniversary Masked Hero. She's magic, she's got pierce power. You could use Fount of Wisdom Albus for pierce rate and pierce resistance down. Those would help. Other things that you could do would be, we're already getting magic attack. You could do ult resistance down, so like if you have Elmesia or Fern, that would work. Where is Elmesia, or if you are lucky enough to have Fern, you could do the 100% ult resistance down debuffs from both of them. That would work. Elmesia's 70% ult damage for Earth allies would conflict with Leon's, and so his would take over, but you would still get the 100% ult down. And then with Fern, she would conflict with Leon's EX ult damage, but you would still get the ult resistance down. So definitely that can work out. As far as other buffs, like you could use Gobwa for the debuffs and the weakness strike and the pierce if you happen to have her. Another big time support option would just be Blanc. Like you could run these two and this team and it would probably go very well. You've got the double damage increase, you've got the free 40 skill points that you can just use in a pinch, you've got the pierce and the element down and the resistance down. Like this team would run pretty efficiently right here as it is. So you don't need anyone else, but in case you don't have them, things get a bit more interesting. You could bring 2nd Anniversary Hinata for the elemental buff, 50% to all elements, so earth, water, light, magic, or not magic, but space, whoever you want to put on the team. That could work as well. Earth attack, let's see, Earth Mirren, very old character, but she could prove useful here, wherever she is. There she is. She is a defensive character. She's single target Earth, just like Leon. If you have dupes in her, she can be an EX character. And she's got the stat swap ability, which reverses your attack and defensive stats. And since most characters have higher attack than defense, but the Aegis ability from Belzard is based off your defense and how high it is. If you suddenly have really high defense, the Aegis will do a bit more damage. And then on top of that, Mirren does have like a slightly stacking earth attack buff, so you could just get rid of Hinata here. And by using the one skill, you could have higher defense, which is more Aegis power, and you could have the earth attack buff. So she can work, and she's not a very recent character. Like, she came out before the first anniversary, so she's really, really, really old. But apart from that, like, we don't really want to crit here. We don't really want a synergy, but you could if you wanted to. You could do just raw attack, so Space Rimuru, very old character. If you have him skill fused, he also has attack and ult resistance down. So, I mean, he's doing double duty right there. Plus giving you extra defense, which actually would help the Aegis effect as well. So he actually might be a pretty decent option for most people, because he's going to be doing things with both of his skills, especially if he's skill fused for his attack buff. So he's actually, we might put him on. He doesn't have the biggest buff in the world, but hey, it's better than nothing. And then what else could we bring in? We are getting the stun strike as well. You could bring Light Raphael, pierce rate, ult resistance down. I don't think the stun strike would hit any of the characters because it's limited to some forces, but you could still get the pierce rate and the ult resistance down, and he's also fairly old. There are options. There's not a lot of options because you're taking away two of the biggest buffs in the game, synergy and crit, but you can do it. And we're already getting a lot of ult damage, so you don't need that. But yeah, I think that's about it for now in terms of just generic support characters. Your DPS character is very simple. It's Leon. It's Leon. He's the single target DPS. The beatdown battle is a single enemy. He's meant to do the damage. Maybe one of the other banners coming in the next couple of weeks will have an AoE Earth character, potentially. Not always guaranteed, but highly likely. I mean, they'll work fine. They'll probably do a lot of damage, but for now, you don't really need to put another damage dealer, unless you just straight up don't have Leon, and then we have a different problem. But if you need a secondary Earth DPS character who happens to be magic, options are kind of limited because we just don't have a lot of Earth units to begin with. You could use Prosper Rimuru. You could use Earth Elmesia. She's AoE. Rimuru is single target. Rimuru does have the crit resistance, which you can lower Milim's resistance a bit, and then you could crit and still gain something out of it. Elmesia, as we just talked about, has that ult resistance down ability, so like they are Earth magic options. We already talked about her as well, but the Earth Mirren, especially if she's EX upgraded, can have another single target EX Earth ult, so she could serve as a substitute DPS in case your Leon is not quite powerful enough to kill. That can work as well. And then, like, Octagram Daggerel, technically, he's AoE as well, but if he's EX Unbound, then he is, he currently is the strongest AoE Earth character in the game. Until he gets replaced in probably 2 weeks or so. But also an option for you. He doesn't really bring anything else to the team, though, which is kind of unfortunate. But Earth is just not a very heavily built out element in general. So options are kind of limited. Like, if you wanted to bring Divine General Gazel, his Orb Change wouldn't do anything for you, but he would be a single target Earth character. And he's technically free. If you were playing during the... Well, actually, you can get him right now because of the Divine General rerun. So, I mean, that's an option as well, technically. Alright, in terms of who can you use in case you don't have the Masked Hero, but you have Velzard and Leon and Ritas? Well, I mean, any blue stacking protector will probably work for you unless they're doing very specific things. So let's say you don't have the hero. Another character you can use would be Ogre's Pride Benimaru. He is a blue stacking protector. You wouldn't get the extra damage against space enemies, but you'd be stacking ult damage, and then on turn 8 you'd be getting 100% pierce power. So if you were to bring, then I'd say Albus or Light Raphael with the pierce rate skill, then you can activate the pierce power effect from Benimaru, and that would work out pretty well. And also Albus is an Orb Changer, so she's doing double duty. Raphael's not, but Benimaru could work. Another one would be Commander Renard. He's stacking Weakness Strike on you and Alt Resistance down on the enemy. So that can also work. Again, you're not going to get the extra 100% damage increase against space that the hero would give, but he's stacking two different things at one time, which can help Leon do fairly decent damage still. And then everybody should have received the free Fount of Wisdom Diablo. He is just a worse version of Renard because he's only stacking Alt Resistance down, and he doesn't stack points very fast, and he's just a very inferior protector because he was the very first EX protector, so he's quite outdated, but he is free. So like, if you don't have a blue stacking protector, you can put Diablo here, and you will have them because he is free right now, and you could use him instead, and still probably get the job done for like EX2, but probably nothing higher. And if you're really kind of low on the ground, you could use the free-to-play Ramaris Protector. She doesn't stack skill points at all, but she does give you that guaranteed Aegis, and she does stack Aegis power. So while your skills are going to get very expensive and it's going to be kind of rough, like, she can probably get you through, and she'd still give you a little bit of extra damage against space. So there are options. Most of the stacking blue protectors will work. Like, you could even use Shuna. Light Shuna. She's stacking Pierce Power and Stun Strike. So if you stack Stun Strike from Shuna and Velzard, then when Milim is stunned on turn 8, you will do more damage than normal, and you still get the other Pierce Power buff as well. So then you would need to bring, again, like Albus or the Masked Hero or someone to give you the Pierce rate to activate it. But she is an option. She's quite old. Like, she's from New Year's of 2023, so she's seen some time. I wouldn't suggest bringing Visions of Coleus Lumi because Milim has synergy resistance, and if you're not building a team based around synergy power, you're just going to have your damage nerfed a bit because she's going to have like 40% resistance to synergy, so you're going to cut your damage almost in half. It's not really what you want to do. She is a stacking blue protector, yeah. So it's like, you could stack on Leon and then just not use her on the nuke turn. That way you have whatever stacks of attack, but you don't have the synergy rate buff. And like, that could work, maybe. Someone would have to let me know and test that, though. But that is an option as well. And then like Konosuba Rimuru, if you have Konosuba from 2 years ago, like, sure, I guess. But I assume that most people don't have him. But there are quite a few options you can use for blue stacking. It's fairly generic, it's fairly common, and they all mostly do the same thing. Alright, and to finish the video off, I've just built a few sample teams for you to take a look at. You don't have to stay true to them, you can swap units out as you see fit, but we have probably the best team is going to be currently the hero, Leon Velzard, maybe not Ritas, but then we've got Blanc and Warrior's Mind Gobwa. They're going to work pretty well for what this team's doing. We have the same setup, but we've got Visions of Coleus, Violet, and then Albus. Albus for the Pierce, Violet for the Orb Changing and Magic Attack, which would work well with the hero's Magic Attack. We've got this team, we've got Ogre's Pride Benimaru, so the stacking alt and then the 100% Pierce power. And then we've brought Light Raphael to give us the Pierce rate. And then we brought Blanc for the Weakness Strike and the alt swapping as well. We've got the free Fount of Wisdom Diablo. We've got the free-to-play Gobta you can get out of the flashback shop. And then we've got the Earth Mirren. So you've got two different DPSs, which you'll probably need because this team won't have that much power. Certainly an option. And then we've got Commander Renard and Leon and second anniversary Hinata for the element buff, and then Fern for the alt resistance down. So sample teams, again, don't have to build them exactly, and obviously if you're missing like Leon or Velzard, then you're really gonna have to make some drastic changes. But this video is specifically for building the full team and just filling out those other two slots. So let me know what you guys think. Was this video helpful to you? Is there something else I could do better or cover more in depth? Let me know in the comments, but that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, good luck, and I'll see you all later.